A bunch of physicists were having lunch when one of them asks, "Where is everybody?" And he wasn't talking about waiters, but aliens. The guy who asked was named Enrico Fermi, and his question led to one of the most debated topics in science. How come we haven't found aliens yet? Well, what makes you think there would be aliens, is what someone answered in my imagination. Well, why wouldn't there be? I mean, we're here next to the sun, right? Besides the sun, there are hundreds of billions of other stars in our galaxy, right? Besides our galaxy, there are billions of other galaxies, each with their own hundreds of billions of stars, right? This means there are hundreds of billions of trillions of stars out there. This many, if you want to talk math. There are more stars in the observable universe than there are grains of Earth on the sand, or something like that. Are you telling me that in a universe that is so big that it might as well be infinite, or maybe it actually is infinite because we don't really know, you're telling me it's possible that life only appeared here, on our tiny planet, next to a random star at the edge of an obscure galaxy? How arrogant to think that. Statistically, it seems highly unlikely. After all, the universe is made of the same stuff and follows the same laws of physics everywhere. Matter reacts and combines in the same ways, creating the same sort of things everywhere. Things like this, or like this, or like this. Why not things like this? How could life only be present here? Well, maybe there's life elsewhere, but we just haven't found it. Well, sure, but that doesn't make much sense either. The universe is very old, 14 billion years old, this many if you want to talk math. If there were other civilizations in the universe, they would have had a lot of time by now for evolution and scientific advancement and cosmic exploration and galactic colonization, and they could have visited Earth 17 times already. Their technology doesn't even need to be that crazy. Even with the rockets we have now, which move relatively slowly, you could colonize an entire galaxy in only a few million years, which is nothing compared to 14 billion years. That's like a few days compared to the lifespan of a human. If the universe were teeming with alien civilizations, it makes sense that they would have left some kind of a sign of their presence. But we don't see a thing, not a smidge, not a smudge, not a single trace that someone existed and did something, anything, anywhere, at any time. You stare out into the universe and it seems dead. What's with the silence, bro? Well, I don't know, but we should come up with a name for it. Great silence? Great silence. And regarding Fermi's question, where is everybody? It seems pretty paradoxical that we haven't found anything, so let's call it the Fermi paradox. Okay, good. I'm glad we could agree on nomenclature, but seriously, where is everybody? Maybe they are hiding. Perhaps the universe is full of life, as much as you would expect for how big it is, but maybe, after a certain level, advanced civilizations don't want to be found and they don't want to speak to anybody, because the universe is hostile and dangerous. And that makes sense when you think about what happens on Earth in similar situations. Remember when America was discovered? Two civilizations that knew nothing about each other met, and it didn't turn out too well for the ones with less advanced technology. Basically, in just a few centuries, around 90% of the American natives were annihilated, and this was right here on Earth with maces and muskets and microbes. Who knows what might happen at the cosmic level with technology we can't even comprehend? Let's do a quick imagination exercise. Put yourself in the shoes of a super smart alien. For me, that's kind of hard to do because I'm not an alien, but I'll try anyway. Let's say you look through your super duper space telescope and you detect an alien civilization on a planet far away. What do you do then? Do you ignore them? Do you start a conversation? Do you invite them over for barbecue? Do you destroy them? After all, you could destroy them because you got that super big fancy laser cannon, you know, that one that can obliterate entire planets from light years away, but do you really want to use it? Maybe you don't, because you yourself, you're a peaceful and a friendly sort of alien, but you're also not an idiot. What if they have a big laser cannon too? What if they destroy you? If you can see them, in theory, they can also see you. If not now, then later. Who knows how their technology or society will evolve? Are you going to just risk it and hope they don't destroy you? I don't know. Whatever you're thinking, looking at them right now, they will probably think the same thing about you in the future. It seems like the safest choice is to just kill them now while you have the chance so that they don't do that to you later on. It's a depressingly plausible thought process, and if it turns out to be the true nature of the universe, then that sucks. But it would also explain where everybody is. Everybody's hiding, and those that don't hide get destroyed by an alien with a big laser cannon. Let's hope that's not the case though, because we've already sent out cosmic greetings with our exact coordinates. Oops. But maybe that won't be a problem. Maybe the reason that aliens don't want to communicate is completely different. Maybe they have better things to do. It's in the nature of life to expand and occupy every available ecological niche. As long as it's possible to live there, some form of life has moved in. We are not any different. Humanity likes to spread out and explore. We built boats and went searching blindly until we found every single piece of land that there was to find, and chances are we won't stop there. The next logical step seems to be space, followed by other planets, other star systems, and so on, until we have an empire that spans the entire galaxy. That's where things seem to be going, right? Well, maybe not. Maybe we will reach the conclusion that it doesn't really make sense to leave the planet. After all, what do you need a McDonald's on Mars for? There are plenty of McDonald's here on Earth and you can reach those by bus. Cosmic colonization might be difficult and pointless, especially if you have everything you need on your own planet inside of a virtual reality. It's possible that an advanced species of aliens is capable of transferring their consciousness inside of a digital realm, a sort of a matrix, if you will, a world where they can do whatever they want for eternity. In such a realm, you could have any experience that you want. You can climb any mountain riding a Tyrannosaurus. You can become a master of Kung Fu and fight amongst asteroids. You can eat infinite ice cream and not get fat. You could become the world's best ping pong player. You could go through the experience of being a snail. You can feel boundless love from and towards everything in existence. You can literally do anything you can imagine and a million other things that never even dreamed of. I mean, if you could do something like that, why would you ever want to do anything else? Why would you ever want to travel the brutal distances of the cold universe to colonize some faraway, barely livable planet? Besides, if you really wanted to have that experience, you could just do it in VR. Such a digital paradise might be the final destination for life. After all, what else are we gonna do? What's the point of all this generational struggle to improve our existence? If you could do anything in this world, wouldn't you rather do anything? Also, this theory is more and more plausible even here on Earth. We already spend half of our time on devices. Games and movies and music and all other kinds of entertainment are a big part of our human experience. And if we ever reach a level where all of our basic needs are taken care of through technology, then it's possible that society will be more and more focused on entertainment. Maybe sufficiently advanced life does not expand outward, but rather inward into an eternal digital utopia. I hope that's the explanation, but if it is, those aliens are pretty rude to keep that stuff for themselves and not share it with us. Or maybe they would want to share, but they can't because we're not ready. Maybe aliens exist, maybe they know about us, but they don't want to intervene in any way because maybe they see humanity as a zoo. It's possible there's a lot of aliens out there and they're more advanced than we could ever imagine. Could be that the technological difference between us and them is the same as the difference between humans and platypuses. Platypusi? Anyway, in general, we humans like and respect the platypus, but also we don't invite them over for dinner. I've tried, it didn't go well. They didn't even bring a bottle of wine or anything. Similarly, it's possible that advanced aliens might see us as interesting creatures and they don't want to hurt us. Maybe we are even a protected species, but at the same time, they don't want to interfere with us or reveal their presence. Maybe for ethical reasons, so they don't mess with our evolution, or maybe they're afraid of how we might react, or maybe they are simply following us as a sort of a reality show. Maybe one day, when we are ready, when we reach a certain technological milestone or world peace, or we cook the absolute perfect beef Wellington or whatever the criteria might be, maybe then we will find out all about them and join the intergalactic civilization where we can then ourselves follow other more primitive species. Look at that, they're starting a world war. Classic. These types of scenarios have often appeared in science fiction, but are also taken seriously in some scientific circles because it explains the Fermi paradox while still being in line with how we treat other species. It would mean that aliens have incredible technology to be able to hide so efficiently while still following us, or maybe the explanation is a little bit more boring than that. Maybe it's the exact opposite, and scientific progress has limits. For around 200 years, humanity has been going through an absolutely incredible scientific and technological explosion. In a pretty short time, we went from candles to electricity, from carrier pigeons to light-speed communication, from horse and buggy to cars and planes and space shuttles. And because we are going through such a period, we often have the impression that this will go on forever. This is what made us think that if aliens exist and they are more advanced than us, then they should be able to do some pretty crazy things. Things like moving planets from their orbit, or mining asteroids to extract their resources, or building a Dyson sphere around the star to extract its energy, or upload their consciousness into a digital world, or travel faster than light through wormholes, or all sorts of other things like that. This is actually one of the reasons that the Fermi paradox even exists, because we assume that if aliens could do things like that, and if they did, we could see that stuff happening in the universe. However, maybe aliens don't do things like that because it simply isn't possible. Maybe that's why we can't see them. Maybe science and technology have a limit, and maybe that limit impedes civilizations from being visible on a galactic scale. After all, the laws of the universe are the laws of the universe, and maybe you can only exploit them so far, regardless of how well you understand them. There is no guarantee that all the amazing future technology we imagine is even possible. And maybe we ourselves are getting closer to the limits of science. After all, colonizing other planets is still more of a dream than a reality. Traveling to other stars would take tens of thousands of years. The speed of light is still the speed of light, and we can't even come close to traveling that fast. The only wormholes we've found so far are the ones made by worms, and as far as the Dyson sphere is concerned, well, we can barely maintain our road system for most of the time, let alone a multi-generational star-sized super project. We don't know if any of these things are actually possible. Maybe they're not. Maybe science has a limit, and maybe that's why we don't see aliens. Or maybe scientific advancement leads to all those things and much more, but at our current level we can't find aliens simply because it's too difficult. It's possible that there's a lot of civilizations out there that are more advanced than us, but maybe finding them is simply too difficult with our current technological and scientific level. After all, it's no easy task, regardless of what some YouTuber tells you at the beginning of their videos. First of all, how do you even detect life in the universe? What are we even looking for? A big sign that says aliens 14 light years that way? Well, no. So far, we've thought of a few things that could indicate the presence of life when we look for those. The most obvious one is a radio signal, similar to what we have sent out in the universe ourselves, like the Arecibo message amongst others. We have radio telescopes listening for such a transmission, trying to detect any signal that seemed like it might be artificial. But even if there are aliens out there trying to communicate, it's highly unlikely that their signals would actually reach us. After all, the universe is immense. The distances involved are unimaginable. Our galaxy alone is 100,000 light years across. Even if we were to find some aliens relatively close, let's say 100 light years away, it would still take 1,000 years to get a message, another 1,000 to respond, which by that time either us or them might not even exist anymore as a species. Maybe you once heard that the TV or radio broadcasts that we have here on Earth leak out into the universe and that aliens might be able to pick them up and watch our television shows or something. Well, that was kind of true once, but only at the beginnings of the radio and television era, and only on a relatively small distance of about 1 light year. Beyond that, signals just lose too much of their strength. Also, as our technology improved, media broadcast signals became more compact and precise, and they don't leak out into the cosmos like they used to. In other words, as civilizations become more and more advanced, they tend to become more silent, not noisier. Besides, an advanced alien species might not even communicate through radio signals anyway. Maybe they found a better way of doing it, like through neutrino transmissions, which is something that we've tinkered with as well, or perhaps their thought patterns might be completely different than ours, or maybe at a totally different processing speed, so that we might not even be able to realize that those transmissions are artificial in the first place. So that's the thing with radio. Another thing we're looking for are chemical biosignatures that could indicate the presence of life. The color spectrum that a star emits gives us clues about what kind of gases might be contained in a star or in the planet spinning around it. If we find a planet that contains oxygen or ozone or methane, that is a promising sign. Or otherwise, we look for other chemicals that could indicate global warming or pollution or signs of possible industry on that planet. However, no luck yet, and maybe we're not even looking for the right thing. Maybe alien life and technology evolved completely differently than it did here on Earth, and maybe the biosignatures we should be looking for are completely different than we realize. So that's the thing with biosignatures. And then we are also looking for some kind of an alien megastructure like a Dyson sphere around the star, and for a second there we thought that we might have actually found one, but it turns out it was just some space dust. And then of course we might also find some kind of an alien probe sent out into the universe, just like we did with Voyager. However, the chances of that are incredibly small. It would be like finding a message in a bottle, except the ocean is the size of the universe. Oh, and by the way, the universe is also incredibly old. We've only been looking for things like this for a few decades. Who knows how many alien civilizations came and went and what clues they left in the stars, except we just didn't have the ability or knowledge to look for them at the time. Not to mention the size of the universe. So far, we have only searched a very, very, very small section of the sky. There is a classic analogy that says it's like taking out a glass of water from the ocean, looking at it and noticing there's no fish in the glass, and drawing the conclusion that the ocean has no fish. In short, it's very hard. There might be plenty of fish out there, but we just haven't caught one in our glass yet. Maybe one day we will, or maybe we won't. Maybe that would be impossible because there is one more almost unbelievable possibility. Maybe we're alone. The most simple explanation seems to also be the most unbelievable. Maybe we're simply alone. Maybe in the whole universe, life only appeared here. After all, we don't really know what life is, how it got started, or what its true nature is. We think that around 4 billion years ago, next to a hydrothermal vent, molecules were being heated and agitated and getting combined in all sorts of configurations, until eventually, somehow, dead matter became alive. Maybe that process, whatever it was, is so rare that it only happened once in the history of the universe. Or maybe the appearance of life had a more profound cause, like something beyond this universe, like some kind of a supreme divine entity. I wonder if there's a name for that. In any event, if life were to only appear in one place, why wouldn't this be the place? I mean, it had to be somewhere. And if you think it's incredible that you ended up on the only one planet in the world that has life, think a bit harder and you will realize that that was the only possibility. It's not like you were going to be born in a place where there is no life, a concept which is also named the anthropic principle. Either way, if we are the only life in the universe, then that would probably be the most unbelievable possibility of them all. It would be crazier than 1 billion alien species. If we are alone, the implications would be gigantic. It would redefine existence. It would mean that life is not an unavoidable phenomena, but rather a miracle. It would mean that we are the only witnesses of the universe and everything that happens in it, and it would mean that we have a gigantic responsibility to protect and maintain the flame of life. Every action would gain monumental importance. Every smile, every gesture, every song, every time you trim your nails, every moment spent on the planet would be an unimaginable gift, and every death would be a tragedy of cosmic proportions. Some say that we should live like that regardless if we're alone or not. After all, we can't ever really know for sure that we're alone. I mean, who's got time to search every nook and cranny of the universe? But again, statistically, it seems almost impossible for that to be the case. After all, life emerged 4 billion years ago, and the Earth was formed around 4.5 billion years ago, so pretty quick after the planet's formation, it sprouted out the first primitive organisms, which kind of suggests that life is not some rare phenomenon, but maybe a pretty common thing. And surely, in the whole universe, there are other places with similar conditions as Earth. Maybe life is actually incredibly common, but intelligent life is very rare. It could be that there are many life forms in the universe, however, they do not reach the level where they can have factories and electricities and space programs. Maybe we are amongst the very few species that have advanced to this point. I mean, there is no guarantee that life evolves intelligence like ours. After all, animals that are the best at surviving are not always going to be the most intelligent. Dinosaurs dominated the planet for almost 100 million years, and their biggest technological accomplishment was becoming fuel for us. Dolphins had 20 million years to build a radio telescope and they haven't done it yet, and crocodiles have been biting real hard for tens of millions of years, yet not one of them can tell you how to find the area of a circle. It's possible that the universe is full of life, but that life is similar to crocodiles and dolphins and dinosaurs. Maybe here on Earth something extremely unlikely happened in order for life to reach the level that it has. This idea is also called the Great Filter, which would be a cool name for a coffee shop, by the way, but in this case it's like a sort of a barrier, an obstacle that is so difficult to overcome that it stops living organisms from evolving to a technologically capable species. From dead matter to space travel, there are a lot of steps, and the filter might be found at any one of them, perhaps even more of them. The first filter could be the emergence of life itself, also called abiogenesis. Maybe it's extremely unlikely that life appears in the first place, as we've already discussed. Or maybe life arises easily, but it's extremely unlikely that it goes from single-celled organisms to more complex multicellular life. This process took billions of years here on Earth, and we think it happened because a bacterium ate another bacterium, but instead of digesting it, the one that got eaten remained intact and became like a kind of an organ, which seems very unlikely even without knowing much about biology. That's kind of like me swallowing an antenna and then my children can connect to Bluetooth. Or maybe the filter is just intelligence itself. After all, most animals are concentrated with surviving and reproducing, not finding the hypotenuse of of a triangle. And for humans to get to this level of intelligence, a lot of improbable things had to happen all at once. Things like being bipedal so that we have our hands free to use tools, having opposable thumbs so that we don't drop the tools, having large brains so that we can think, having complex vocal cords so that we can talk, having social structures through which we can pass down the things that we think and talk, and a whole bunch of other stuff like that all at once. Also, it's possible, even likely, that there are numerous planets that are completely covered in water and that may contain life, but no matter how intelligent those species become, they are limited by their environment because it's kind of hard to advance industrially if you can't start a fire. Maybe humanity is the only or amongst the only few species in the universe that has managed to get past the Great Filter, or maybe it's yet to come. In other words, maybe intelligent life destroys itself. The saddest possibility is that at a certain technological level, very advanced civilizations simply self-destruct. Maybe Fermi's paradox is a paradox, but not in the way that we think. Like, to be detectable on a galactic scale, you need advanced technology, but if you have advanced technology, you end up destroying yourself. After all, humanity has caused enough mass destruction, but for most of history, the best tools we could do that with were things like spears or bows or kicking. The more sophisticated technology gets, the easier it becomes to annihilate an entire species. Imagine a future where any person with a smartphone has the ability to create a super virus that can annihilate all of humanity. How long would it take before someone did that? In the past, we couldn't have self-destructed even if we wanted to. But now we already have nuclear or chemical or biological weapons, so that we probably could if we really wanted to. And it doesn't even have to be done with weapons. It's possible for humanity to be eradicated by all sorts of factors. Maybe global warming is inevitable, and the more a civilization's energy needs increase, the more it affects the planet to the point where it becomes impossible to live on it. Or maybe we simply run out of resources after mining and extracting and exploiting everything there was to exploit. Without the necessary materials, civilization collapses. Or maybe we will be ended due to political and social instability, or maybe a natural disaster like a comet or a supervolcano, which are situations that maybe we could have managed if not for the aforementioned political instability. Or maybe as our science progresses, it will naturally guide us towards an experiment that will destroy us all. Similar to when the nuclear bomb was created, and for a while it wasn't clear whether the detonation of a bomb anywhere on the planet could ignite the entire atmosphere and everything would come to an end right then. Or maybe artificial intelligence, that old chestnut. There are all sorts of ways in which humanity could self-destruct, and unfortunately, lately it seems more and more plausible that we are heading in the wrong direction. But don't worry, this is nothing new. I saw a YouTube video of a guy saying how for millennia now people have always thought that the world is on the verge of ending, so it'll probably be fine. I don't know, this guy says so. I just don't know if he knows what he's talking about though. Of course, it is possible that the explanation for the Fermi paradox is completely different, one that has not even crossed our minds yet. Maybe the nature of the universe is completely different than we realize, not to mention existence itself. After all, the more you think about the universe, the stranger everything seems. I mean, we're here on a space ball spinning around another much larger space ball that's radiating energy, and then there are trillions of other space balls at unimaginable distances from each other in a huge vacuum full of matter that moves and attracts and collides and interacts with each other according to some mysterious laws. It's incredibly strange that all this stuff exists along with us observing it. If we weren't so used to the state of existence, we'd be going crazy every day thinking about how strange our situation is. So who knows what's really going on? Maybe the Fermi paradox isn't even a paradox, but the result of an incredibly strange and mysterious universe, and like so many others, a question we simply don't understand yet.
What's this? Some guy on Earth, he made a video about why they haven't found us. Oh yeah? Yeah, he's got like 8 possible explanations. Are any of them right? Meh, one of them came close. Which one? They'll never know.